Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next session of economy in our monthly current affairs series of Amrita S Academy. Now, in the session one, we have seen some banking first theme, basically banking finance, and second one that is the fiscal policy. Some current affair is aspects related to it. Now, we're going to see something related to the sectors of economy, starting with the agriculture. Now, agriculture one section we have taken agriculture and economy one section we have taken in our governance also. So you can see both in combination. ठीक है यहाँ पे it's more here it's more about the economic side of it. Okay, fine. So the first one that is in the news, that is the agriculture infrastructure fund. So this fund is a part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat package. So this package was of worth 20 lakh crore, that was highly touted. So the Prime Minister has launched a financing facility of 1 lakh crore under this agriculture infrastructure fund. Okay. Next thing you need to keep in mind, it's a center sector scheme. That means total fund will be given through central government. We will see how the funds will also be given. We'll also see that. The scheme shall also provide, it's a scheme for the medium to long term debt financing, especially for the infrastructure creation in the agricultural sector. So what is their focusing specifically in the guidelines, what they have said, post harvest management infrastructure and the community farming assets in which the support will be given. The scheme will work for the 10 years. 10-year schemes they have launched. Now let us see some of the details that are here. It's easy to discuss the details in such custom made diagrams. Now, first of all, one thing we need to see, the loan shall be given. It is not a grant, it is a loan. So loan shall be given in 4 years. 10,000 crore, 30,000 crore, 30,000, 30,000. That is 1 lakh crore. So overall 1 lakh crore, a part of your 20 lakh crore, that is the package. First thing. So the loan will be given through banks and financial institutions to these people. So primary agricultural credit society, cooperatives, farmer producer organizations, self-rep groups, joint liability groups, agri entrepreneurs, cooperatives. So to these the loans will be given. For what purpose? For this purpose. So post harvest management projects and the community farming assets. What are the projects, for example? This is taken directly from the guideline also, the guideline itself. Supply chain infrastructure, warehouses, silos, assorting units, cold chain infrastructure, primary processing units, ripening chambers, community farming assets such as biostimulant, for supply chain infrastructure for crop exports cluster, smart and precision farming. These are the things that you have to develop. ठीक है? For that purpose, your funding will be given. Now, the funding will be in a form of the loan. Okay? And now, these people have to return the loan also. And the interest, how the government is helping them. Government is helping them in two ways. First of all, availability, that these loans should be given. So, interest subvention. Now, for example, the interest rate is 7%. Now, the government says that, okay, instead of the 7%, you pay only 4% because 3% interest subvention we are giving. Okay? So the government will provide the interest of these loans to the banks. Okay? And up to 2 crores only. For example, you have taken a lot of loan, right? But you will be given interest subvention only up to 2 crore rupees. First thing. Second thing, there is a credit guarantee also. What is credit guarantee? Credit guarantee means that if these people fail to give the loan back, if the loan becomes NPA, the banks will not feel any problem because credit guarantee will be given to these banks. So if they become NPA, they will help the banks. So what is the outcome of it? The outcome is that these banks become empowered or they become willing to give the loans. Now the problem is not of the amount of money, rather the problem earlier, the problem was that these banks and the financial institutions, they have the money. These farmers need the money, but they don't give the money because of the suspicion that our loan will become a NPA, our loan will become default. How will we recover them? Hence, the government has said, go ahead and give the loans. We are providing the credit guarantee to you. So, when the credit guarantee will be provided, the banks will be incentivized to give the loans. When the loans will be given, now new agri entrepreneurs, new startups, these agricultural FPOs and all, they will get money in their hand and they will invest in this infrastructure thing. It will lead to the improvement in the agricultural infrastructure, more public spending into the public infrastructure, agricultural infrastructure, and the more development and all these things. Now, the scheme itself has identified 5 key stakeholders in this. Now, first stakeholder is the obviously the farmers in the form of the FPO, cooperatives, and these. So they say that it will lead to more value realization now because it will create some market infrastructure. So more value realization for the same crop means more income. Second, it will reduce their post harvest losses. So post harvest losses can be reduced. Farmers will become independent and less intermediaries will be there, because as you develop better infrastructure, as you have more access to, for example, decentralized warehouse, so you don't require to visit long places, you can store the values nearby you, then it will improve the productivity, optimization of inputs and savings. These are all given in the scheme itself. This is not being made up. Made up means this not being the analysis part of it. This is all given in the scheme itself. Next is the government itself. Now the government can initiate the cycle of innovation and the private sector involvement in this sector, reduce the food shortage, then attract investment in the field of the agriculture. It is good for agri entrepreneurs also because they will get the funding, and agri entrepreneurs can use these new technologies that are there, internet of intelligence, internet of things, artificial intelligence, these things. Collaborations can be there. Then we talk about the consumers, the better quality and the prices we also feel, because when the farmers will realize the high price means we will the things will reach to us through less intermediaries and less money will be less money we have to spend to get the same amount of food. The quality can improve. And lastly, for the banking sector as well, this will be a win-win situation. It will, as they have the credit guarantee, as I've explained you, so it will lower the risk of lending for these things. Then it will enlarge the customer base of the banking sector also. It will lead to the diversification of the banking sector, because now they can easily give the loans to the farmers and others. So these will be the advantages of the agriculture infrastructure fund, and this must be enough. One session on the one day one topic series, that is, you can say, our mains program, there I can take these topics, for example, agricultural infrastructure, or the other topic, that is agricultural education. Now the next topic itself is the agricultural education. The Prime Minister has pitched that the farm education needs to be given to the middle school level. It means that he is talking about that the agricultural education needs to be given right from the school level. Right? Let us first see what the agricultural education is. So agricultural education not only comprises of the knowledge of the horticulture, the basic agricultural products, processing, natural resources. Apart from that, along with that, the study of the applied sciences, for example, some knowledge about the, let's say, fertilizers, some knowledge about some application based knowledge about the chemistry, application based knowledge of the biology. Okay? So these things they must know. Exposure to the potential threats, especially in the future, such as climate change, for example, locust attack. So these are the things they must know. And the third is the development of the farmers also, as in the form of the business management, marketing, and the leadership development. Then only this farmer will become the agriculture entrepreneurs, right? If we don't develop this, then how they'll become the agriculture entrepreneurs? Hence, the agricultural education should comprise of this part as well. Now, what about the institutional structure? We have only the higher education institutions that provide the agricultural education. Now, for example, you in the school also, you are also not provided with any type of agricultural education. So only we have 3 central agriculture universities, around 65 plus state level university, and some deemed to be university. Hence, Modi ji calls it that at the middle school education level, it needs to be extended. and it has become the part of the national education policy as well, the recent national education policy. When it comes to the various initiatives of agricultural education, few of them that you need to know. This one we have discussed. For improving the quality of the education, Government of India and the World Bank undertaken the National Agricultural Higher Education Project, under which what we have read, Krishi Megh, ICAR, all these things we have read in the previous governance session. Okay? Then we have some getting young youth people to get interested. We are talking about entrepreneurs in the field of the agriculture. How will entrepreneurs come? If they know about it. Especially the youth that is there in the rural sector, they know about the challenges, they can be better entrepreneurs. So hence they have the programs such as Arya, attracting and retaining youth in the agriculture. So ICAR focusing on income sustainability and the gainful employment through skill development of these people, these children, these youth people. Then the Student Ready program, Rural Entrepreneurship Awareness Development Yojana, because these young people in the rural area, they know exactly where the intervention require. They just require the appropriate amount of skill, appropriate amount of the education, appropriate amount of the tools in the form of the loans, for example. Just like the previous agriculture infrastructure fund we have read. So not only the funds required, but also the education is also required to develop the rural entrepreneurship or agri-entrepreneurship. Okay? Then we have some e-governance portals, just like digital agricultural education portal. For example, DD Kisan, right? A lot of being portals are there, है ना? बहुत सारे हैं. You can add more to this list. Where from this particular portal, all the relevant information from the agriculture university go to the parts of the country. So it's a single window platform where the information from the agriculture university go to all India. So it is the e-governance which is improving the education. Next, this one we have read. And lastly, the international collaborations. Now, for example, I was having this one session that is India and Central Asia. So India and Central Asia session, one day, one topic session. There we have read, if you have seen that particular session, it will be uploaded soon also on our Telegram channel. There we have read that how much collaboration is there between India and Kyrgyzstan, for example, with respect to the agriculture. India and Israel, for example, when it comes to the agriculture. India and Africa Forum Summit, we discuss about this agriculture. India and Latin America, for example, Mozambique, we come together for the agriculture. So what we do, we basically do both the parts. We learn from them and we train the other human resource development as well of the other countries. Both the parts we do. So this is all part of the agricultural education. So this is it. Next is in Prime Minister Employment Generation Program. So it was in the news in the PIB, they have mentioned that around 44% jump has been seen in 2020. So what is this Pradhan Mantri Employment Generation Program? First of all, it's by the Ministry of MSME. Okay? In 2008, 2009, they have launched this particular scheme. It's a credit-linked subsidy scheme. Okay? So some sort of subsidy will be provided in the urban and in both rural areas to the entrepreneurs to develop to micro enterprises. Remember the micro enterprises, right? Let us see some details of it. Now, Pradhan Mantri Employment Generation Program 2008, it's again a central sector scheme. Central sector scheme means all the funds will be provided by the central government. The implementing agency is the KVIC, Khadi and Village Industry Commission. We have read about KVIC, right? Tri-Food project, not Tri-Food project. We have read about it. I think in the Tri-Food project we have read about, Gramodyog Yojana. In the governance section, we have read about KVIC, right? So, what is the background of this scheme? You need to realize that, or you need to understand what is the background of that, of any particular scheme. The background is that we have to develop the employment generation, and the employment generation has to come from the MSME sector, establishment of the micro enterprises, that is E, enterprises, and hence the second problem is of the availability of the formal credit to the MSME sector. So to the MSME sector, we don't have the proper availability of the credit. So these two are the, I should say, the driving force behind this particular scheme. Now some of the details of the scheme, for example, only greenfield projects needs to be taken, greenfield only new projects. Second, SCGs, that self-help groups can also take up the money if they are not getting benefit from the other schemes. There are also other schemes running. Now the maximum cost that is allowed is 25 lakhs for manufacturing and 10 lakh for the service sector, and this is amount of the subsidy they will give. You don't have to remember the amount of the subsidy, you just have to remember that the subsidy is given with urban and the rural areas. More subsidy is given for the special category, that is SC, ST, OBC, the people from northeast region, hill state, and less subsidies for the other people. This is the information. This is the information that you need to remember. You don't have to remember this information. Okay? So this is there. Now UPSC is asking some previous scheme, right? And you need to be prepared with such schemes, especially in the MSME sector, because MSME sector is very, 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 very critical. So with this, we'll finish our session. Let us quickly see 5 questions that we always do in our discussion part. So the first question is, what is the importance of the term interest coverage ratio of a firm in India? Interest coverage ratio. It helps in understanding the present risk of the firm that a bank is going to give a loan to. Then it helps in evaluating the emerging risk of the firm that bank is going to give loan to. So present risk and the emerging risk. Higher the borrowing firm's level to the interest rate coverage ratio, the worse its ability to service its debt. So higher the interest coverage ratio, the lower its ability to service its debt. Which is the right answer? This first of all, the way we categorize the question, this becomes part of your strive category. Lies between must and the strive. Why? Because in economy, such terms are, a lot of terms are there. For example, your cash reserve ratio, right? Or for example, your liquidity coverage ratio. For example, in insurance penetration, insurance density. These terms are very, very critical. So whenever you prepare economy, you need to make a list, a separate list you can make, or you can focus while revising your content on these different terms that are there. Because UPSC every time they ask such questions. For example, this term was mentioned in the economic survey, but not in recent economic survey. In 2016-17, I think economic survey. They talk about the interest cover IC1 companies. Okay? Way back. Now, what is interest coverage ratio? Interest coverage ratio is a measure. Now, for example, let us understand by this small diagram, and this is what I have made this diagram so as to make you understand. This is how you can make your own notes as well. Now, for example, a company takes loans. A principal it has taken and the recurring interest payment it has to do. So, and also the company is earning as well. It is getting some money. Obviously, company is doing something. It is getting some money. Now, whether the earnings of the company, they are able to pay this interest payments or not. That's the interest coverage ratio. So, if the ICR is low, that means the earnings are less to cover the interest payments. It means if your ICR is low, that means even the earnings, you're not getting to get your interest payments. Leave about the principals that you have to return. Even you are not able to pay the interest payments. ब्याज नहीं दे पा रहे हैं, interest they cannot pay. Right? And this is what it is written in this line as well. So, for example, lower the interest coverage ratio, it is a greater possibility of the bankruptcy or default. Obviously, when they cannot pay the interest also, there is a higher possibility of the bankruptcy and the default, isn't it? And that creates a lot of problem for the companies. If we talk about, okay, so what will be the answer? Now, interest coverage ratio, it helps us in understanding the present risk. Answer is yes. It also helps to understand the emerging risk. Also, yes, it is very, very subjective in nature, isn't it? Yeah, if your ICR is less, then obviously the present risk I can see, in the future you can go bankrupt. So you can see, you can get the both the points directly right. The third one, higher the borrowing company's interest coverage ratio, the worse its ability to service its debt. Answer is no. So this statement is wrong. So I forgot to put the answer. So the right answer is 1 and 2 only. Third option is wrong. ठीक है? So please mark it. The next question is, which reference to the Indian economy, consider the following statements. Next, first is, the commercial paper is a short-term unsecured promissory notes. First of all, this question is from the finance section of your notes, of economy syllabus, I should say. Very easy question. It was a part of easy question. It depends upon the revision, or I should say must portion. ठीक है, ये सही होना ही होना चाहिए था. It must be right. So, with reference to Indian economy, consider the following statement. Commercial paper is a short-term unsecured promissory note. Short-term certificate of deposit is a long-term instrument. Call money is a short-term finance used for the interbank transaction, and zero coupon bonds are the interest-bearing short-term bonds issued by the commercial banks to the corporation. Now, in this question, you need to know about all these terms, and this was the term I was talking about in the very first question also. ठीक है? So these are the terms are very critical in the economy. Apart from the concepts तो ठीक है, but terms भी पता होने चाहिए. And this is how I also teach in my classes. So short-term debt instruments. So within the debt instruments, we have the long-term debt instruments. For example, corporate bonds, not corporate bonds, for example, corporate debentures, government securities, but we have a short-term instruments as well. For example, for government it is T-bill, है ना, T-bill होता है. For different borrowers, we have different types of instruments. For example, for government, is for state, union, and the ways and means advance, for example, is one of the examples. Companies, we have bill of exchange, or hundi it is called, commercial papers, promissory notes, merchant to bank, commercial bills, they can take this money. Then banks and NBFC certificate of deposits. Banks and NBFC can take some loan on certificate of deposits. Then there is a call and the notice money, interbank transaction, LIBOR and MIBOR, the rate at which this is being done. ठीक है, और भी है, ट्रेड्स, रेपो रेट इज ऑल्सो अ शॉर्ट टर्म डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट, है ना. So these are the things, these are the short term debt instruments. Each and every term you should go and read in your statics syllabus. Now, this call and notice money, so it's an interest rate when the intermediaries borrow for 1 day, that is known as call rate, and the notice money is when you borrow for 2 and 14 days from one bank to the other bank. ठीक है? So it is basically the banks when they do, and all this is a part of your money market. This financial market is known as the money market. ठीक है? The short term market. Chalo. So what will be the answer? So first of all, when you say the long term certificate of deposit, so you directly eliminate 2, right? When you directly eliminate 2, all these terms are for short term. When you eliminate the wrong term, you directly get 4 or 1 and 3. Now let us see 1. Commercial paper for promissory notes, yes. Call money for interbank transaction, yes. So you get a answer number C. ठीक है? It's a very easy question, but you just need to know the points in the framework structure. Okay, this is a term, what this term implies, what that term implies, and meaning of all the terms. ठीक है? Let's move on. Economy, that is why economy is said to be tough. It's not tough actually if you prepare it in a framework type structure. Next one is, which of the following statements are correct with reference to the Open Credit Enablement Network? Open Credit Enablement Network. ठीक है? It is a common lending platform for lenders and the marketplace to utilize and create innovative financial credit products at scale. It's an initiative of the NPCI. You can pause the video and try the question. It is from the current affairs only. It's an important current affairs actually. Okay, so basically what is the idea? The idea is that you can, let us understand by example. So let's say Swiggy. So Swiggy has a history. Swiggy has a lot of customers, right? Now Swiggy, when if it starts the lending scheme, if it starts the lending operations, lending means the credit and all. But first of all, Swiggy's core competency does not lie in lending. Its core competency lies in logistics. Its core competency lies, for example, in delivering of these things. But the core competencies of these lenders, these banks and NBFCs, lies in lending. Their competency does not lie in reaching out to many customers. So what if these two combine? What if Swiggy and these banks combine, right? And this is the idea behind open network. ठीक, enablement network, sorry, open credit enablement network. Now let us see. Now what does basically Swiggy has the history of particular customer. For example, I order from Swiggy very regularly. In the month I order for 5,000 rupees. Now I want some credit. So Swiggy can provide my data to showcase that this man can provide can give the money with ease because of his reviews, because of the frequency of his orders, the amount of his orders, right? He does not complain a lot, or he orders very frequently, he pays the money correctly, like this. Now this is being established. Now Swiggy is giving the loans. Now let's say this, they want to create the same thing with the Zomato. Tick. Now they have to do again every process, these banks and NBFC. So what they have done, they have created, the idea is to create a common platform, this open credit enablement network. So there these people will come, and there they will see, okay, they will say these are the prospective lenders, we want to give you these people need the money, and if you see the data, if you find the data well, you can lend it. That's it. So basically it seems to accelerate affordable and the formal credit, mostly the formal credit. Okay? Now this is not being done by the NPCI. It is being done by the Indian software product industry, that is known as iSpirit. iSpirit. It's a think tank. Okay? It's a economic think tank. Nandan Nilekani called it a democratizing credit in India is the need of the hour, and he said that this innovation can be very revolutionary. It can disrupt the lending infrastructure in India. Though still it is at the concept stage, when it will be more developed, you'll find more news of it going forward. Maybe NPCI can take up, but till now it is not the concept of the NPCI. Okay? Now for example, you have taken something from Flipkart. You can, for example, a big thing you have ordered. Now Flipkart can tell these people about this order and they can lend the money here. This is being done now also. Now for example, Flipkart has the history of you, that you have done this much shopping. So even if you don't have a much collateral with you, है ना, collateral नहीं है आपके पास, big house you don't have and these things you don't have, but based upon these parameters, we give loan to you. So this will help in integrating a lot of informal sector, those who want the formal credit but they cannot get the formal credit. And also remember, it is not by the NPCI, it is by the iSpirit. So what is the answer? The first option is right. It will utilize and create innovative financial credit products at scale, and then it is not by NPCI. So answer is 1 only. Let us see the next question. One question from our static. Consider the following events during the colonial rule in India: passage of the First Factories Act, passage of the Trade Union Act, establishment of All India Trade Union Congress, establishment of the FICCI. Labor movements and the initiatives for the labor movements have been one of the areas that UPSC has focused. They have asked 3 to 4 questions on this. Hence, it becomes important. Especially the chronology based questions are very, very important in UPSC. Now, for example, these question comes in your strive category. Because many a times we know about, for example, this, we may know about this, but we read about FICCI a lot, but we may not know when it is formed. You know? So, that is why you need to pay attention to the chronology part of it. Okay? Let us very quickly discuss and move on. Now, for example, your First Factories Act passed in 1881. That act specifically focused on the children, so increasing their age, the employable age, right? They provided some regular rest interval during the work. Women were restricted to work in night. Amendment also came in 1891 to this particular amendment, first Factories Act. Then we have All India Trade Union Congress in 1920. In between, other efforts were taken also, but we are discussing only the efforts that are being asked in the question. So Lala Lajpat Rai and many people come together to form this, one of the first trade unions. Then the Trade Union Act 1926, against which this Bhagat Singh and all were not happy with this particular act. So under which all these trade union activities were put under the law. They need to register the trade unions. And this was also the era in which the communist influence in India was increasing. Okay, communist influence was increasing, and hence the trade activity, the peasant activity can be seen. A surge in these activities can be seen. Then we have the formation of FICCI in 1927 on the advice of Mahatma Gandhi by G.D. Bilra and Purushottam Das Thakur Das. The formation of FICCI can be seen. Okay? Chalo. So let us see the question. Consider the following events during which, during the colonial rule, passage of the first Factories Act, passage of the Trade Union Act, in establishment of All India Trade Union Congress, and this, the first one was Factories Act, so one, then became third, then second one, that is 1926, two, and then in 1927 FICCI, fourth. So answer is C is correct. Okay, the last question very quickly, let's finish it out. Under the Kisan Credit Card Scheme, short-term credit support is given to farmers for which of the following purpose? Now what they have written here is short-term credit support. First is working capital for maintenance of farm asset, purchase of combined harvester, tractor, mini trucks, consumption required for the farm household, post-harvest expenses, and construction of family house, setting up of village cold storage facility. Okay, so what is the answer? You can again pause the video and try the answer. Kisan Credit Card, again, it was a very old scheme. It's not a new scheme. In fact, in 2018, they have just made it available for the animal husbandries and fisheries. So in 1998, RBI and NABARD has come together to create this Kisan Credit Card. More importantly, what you can remember that they can withdraw the cash from it. Kisan Credit Card. It's a credit card, but they can withdraw cash. The money is given by, the Kisan Credit Card is given by PSBs, RRBs and the state cooperatives as well. Who are eligible? These all small and marginal farmers, sharecroppers, oral rees, tenant farmer, self-help group, joint liability groups, these people are eligible for it. The use is a short-term credit requirement for cultivation. Okay? Post-harvest expenses, consumption required from the farmer household as well. कि अपने घर के लिए, for his own home, for his own consumption requirement, he can use the card. Working capital for maintenance of the farm assets and allied activities. Now, if you see, the question here is on the short-term credit support. Now, recently in this session, we have read about Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. That was medium to long-term infrastructure fund, right? And there we have read about this cold storage facility. Do you think the short-term credit is available to it? The answer is no. So if you eliminate the fifth one, even if you don't know about the Kisan Credit Card Scheme, you will eliminate this one, this one, this one, and you will get the answer. Okay? So this is what you need to keep in mind. Again, this is not a short-term credit. This is a long-term credit. Mini trucks. Do you think mini truck is a short-term credit? Answer is no. Okay? So we have to apply the analysis part. The presence of mind is also very much required. Chalo. So with this, we finish our session. Let us quickly revise what we have done. We started our discussion on the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund and agricultural, the provisions of it. Then agricultural education, the different provisions with respect to agricultural education. Then Pradhan Mantri, Prime Minister Employment Generation Program and the features of it. Then interest coverage ratio we have seen, short-term debt instruments we have seen, call and notice money we have seen. Okay? Then one question on these things, commercial paper and call and notice money. Then open credit enablement network. Then labor movement, a small timeline. One question on it. And then finally, one final question on the Kisan Credit Card. So with this, we'll finish the question. Don't see the question only as the content. See questions, don't see the first segment as a content, but also see the second section, that is the question section, as improvement of your content. Okay? All I do this work for your enrichment of your knowledge, isn't it? The enrichment, both the things. First of all, the content also, and also the way you can answer your prelims questions. And only through practice, for example, I solve in front of you, isn't it? So only through practice and through demonstration effect you will learn, and then you will start the answers from your side itself, and that is very very important. Okay, so with this we finish our second session. So economy we are done. Next session is on the polity. Only one section session is on there on polity, and we'll finish it soon. Okay, bye bye, thank you.